Have you done another rainbow?
Yep. Come and have a look and finish off mine.
Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. It's going to be a Q&A video today. I realized it's been a while since I did my last Q&A and I've got a lot of new fresh faces here. So thanks for being here, and yeah, hopefully you get to know a little bit more about me through this Q&A. I put out a little call out for questions on my Instagram and on the YouTube community board. Yes, I got a lot of questions. So I needed to do some categorizing. So I'm going to categorize them a little bit and kind of merge a lot of the questions into one. So what we're watching is the making of this month's Patreon reward. It's September 2022, just in case you're in the future. Yeah, if you like it, you can jump on and become a patron before the very end of this month in order to get the reward on the Orange Bird tier. I also have a Bluebird tier, which is mini originals, but they've already been snapped up, which is amazing. I haven't even done them yet, so that's great. But yeah, the biggest and most flowery, heart sparkly thank you to my Patreons. You guys are just the best. You're amazing. I love being your Patreon mama and sending you goodies and providing you goodies on the Patreon feed. So you're great. Yeah, so this is the artwork. It's actually, let me tell you about it first really quickly. It's a acrylic gouache painting on some cotton paper, some watercolor cotton paper. It's the brands I use, the acrylic gouache brands I use are Holbein and Turner, but mostly Holbein. And my brushes are just like cheap. Like they're not that, I think it's a Royal and Langnickel brush that I use mostly. But check out my past video where I talk about all my art supply, all my tools, and favorite art supplies and that sort of thing. I talk a lot about the paint and paintbrushes and that sort of thing. Worth checking out if you love to gush about art supplies and hearing someone talk about them. Yeah, okay, so let's start the Q&A. So this section is filming and filming setup. Let's talk about that. I'm not a professional. I don't have anything fancy. I don't have like studio lights or camera tripods. My camera is literally sitting on top of my drink bottle right now. The only fancy thing I have is my microphone. Let me show you. It's a Blue. The brand is called Blue. That's all I know about it. I'll put more information here. As for my camera, I have a, what's it even called? My camera is a Sony ZV-1, which I've had for, I don't know, a year and a half. And it's great. It does what I need it to do. It has a flippy screen so I can see what I'm doing. So that's the main camera I use for filming, like the really beautiful close-ups and yeah, just like a slightly better quality. And I just also use my phone, and I have an iPhone 12. There it is. And I use that to film as well. And I just hold the cameras awkwardly. Filming setup wise, I have like one of those table clamps that I clamp my phone to or my camera to and do all sorts of different angles with that. This is what it looks like. So this little bit clamps onto the table at the bottom, and then this little arm clamps to the phone or the camera. And this is actually like, I put this on from a different table clamp that I had because the one that this arm came with just didn't work for me. Didn't like it. So a table clamp. And you know, sometimes it makes the table wobble, and I have to use the warp stabilizing tool on Premiere Pro, which helps which I need. Sometimes it goes weird, but mostly it's pretty good. So the warp stabilizer is my friend. I've also got this little table tripod thing which moves up and down, so I screw my camera into this, and that's a nice one I have to get closer ups where I don't have to hold my camera. But most of the time I'm a little bit lazy and I'll just hold my camera and use the warp stabilization tool on Premiere Pro. And that's the program I use. I use Premiere Pro to film my YouTube, to edit my YouTube videos. And sometimes I edit my reels using that as well. And on my phone, if I filmed it on my phone, I'll edit my reels with a program called Vue, V-U-E, which works. It's simple. I don't know. It's the first one I tried and I just haven't stopped trying it. So that works for me. I do have a video on my Patreon about how I film my reels and TikToks and that sort of thing. So I go into it in depth there, so it's worth checking that out. But I'll just like briefly talk about a couple of things that I've learnt. I also studied animation and filmmaking a few years ago, so I really like editing. So liking editing is always a bonus. One thing that I like is different angles when making my reels. That's what I like. There are all sorts of different ways to edit, like obviously, but I like different angles, and I don't like it to just go close up, far away, close up, far away, close up, far away. I like it to be a little different. So we might have an extreme close up, then we might have a mid close up, then we might have a top down angle, then I might have a view where it's like facing me drawing. Just lots of different angles, and it can be hard sometimes to do that, to change the camera around all the time when you're like in the zone. But usually I just film for like 5 seconds. If I'm doing a reel, I'll film for 5 seconds in one position, and then I'll turn the camera off and I'll keep painting for 10, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, however. And then when I'm in a different section, which I think might be interesting, I'll turn the camera on and film again for another 5-10 seconds and just edit that down as I go. So I don't film the whole painting because that's just too much work, too much editing. But I'll film for 5 or 10 seconds at a time, depending on the situation. Yeah. Sometimes if you do a huge chunk and then you're like, oh my God, I was filming, I forgot to film. I was meant to be filming, I forgot to film. That's where you can maybe try and be a little bit more creative with the way you edit. Maybe you can do like a sketch versus final video instead of like a whole progress video if you do a boo-boo and you forget to film. But yeah, there's no way around it. You kind of just have to practice, I guess, not being too like bummed out when you need to get in and out of your flow. It's just, I guess, a different skill that you have to develop, and it's doable. It's doable. And YouTube videos, I do a lot longer shots compared to my reels and that sort of thing. Like I might film for a minute or 2 minutes or 10 minutes at a time, depending on what I'm working on at that moment. To be honest, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just making it up. Now I'm going to go to materials. Difference between watercolor gouache and acrylic gouache, and why do you prefer acrylic? I don't know the technical things. I'm not that kind of person that does all those kind of researches. But watercolor, I know, reactivates, and it's a lot more, it's less opaque. It's more see-through. So what I mean by reactivate, it means that if you have a blob of watercolor on your palette and it dries, you can then take some water and apply the water to the watercolor paint, and it becomes usable again. It reactivates. So that's a cool thing about watercolor. Gouache also does that. Gouache has this really beautiful, it's more of a thick, creamier, opaque look. The colors are much more vibrant than watercolors, and I really love that. it's a yeah, it's just really pretty. But it reactivates as well, just like watercolor, which can sometimes, for both watercolor and gouache, be a little annoying if you're like me and you don't plan your paintings, you just go with the flow. It can be a bit annoying because if you want to change a color or if you want to overlap something that you've already drawn that you don't want there anymore, the way it reactivates can like be completely annoying, and you don't want that to happen. Or I don't want that to happen. So that's when I discovered acrylic gouache. So acrylic gouache is more of like a plastic based, I don't know what I'm saying, but maybe that's what it is. So it does not reactivate, which is great because you can have the look of gouache, that beautiful, creamy, sometimes chalky, delicious color, but it does not reactivate and pull up the colors underneath if you want to do some layers and that sort of thing. So it's beautiful. I love it. That's why I prefer the acrylic gouache. But knowing me, I change my mind all the time. I'm just in a acrylic gouache rampage at the moment, and in a month or two it might change. Who knows? Oh, let's talk about style. This is the style section of the video, of which I have none. No, I'm kidding. Let's start here. Do you use reference photos, and how do you use them? And I also want to combine that with like, how did my style evolve and change over time? I highly recommend going to life drawing class, doing still life drawing, going out to nature and drawing from life. I did life drawing twice a week for about 2 or 3 years solid, back when I was studying animation. I cannot tell you how helpful doing life drawing was. Life drawing is a really good place to experiment with style, proportions, but also to like hone your skills on doing like, learning the rules of anatomy, I guess. Seeing how the muscles flow and the I don't know, all the shapes and the way the body moves and that sort of thing. Like it's really helpful. It's been really helpful for me. I love it. Just love life drawing and drawing from life. It's so fun. But it's helped me to be able to experiment with like a shape language that I love to keep coming back to when it comes to the way I draw my figures. It's helped me figure out what proportions to play with and keep it looking like a nice image, like in a way that it just works, Yeah, I really like to exaggerate my figures. And because I've done so much life drawing, I have figured out a way to make it look like it still works. And you're not like, oh, these proportions are like, creeping me out. At least I hope not. So a lot of studying, that sort of thing over the years. It's all about play for me. Life drawing doesn't have to be serious. I would have like little mini challenges with some friends at the life drawing classes we used to go to, where it would be like, who can exaggerate and push the forms the most and still make it look good. Like that, we'd have those sort of things. Or like only draw in downward lines. Although just would make up silly little things like that. And that was a really fun way to push style. And experimenting is a huge part of finding a style. I don't know. I have a bit of a complex relationship with the word style, because I don't like finding a style, choosing a style, and then sticking with that for like the rest of your life. That's I don't know. I just don't like that. I like room for evolution. I like to experiment and play and get silly and just try new things all the time. And the more you try, the more like little bits get tweaked here and there, and something that you used to draw in a certain way months ago might be completely different to the way you draw it after a whole chunk of experimentation and play. Evolving. You got to keep evolving, but you also got to keep true to yourself. Just try all the things and then combine all the things and then just figure it out. It takes a while and it's never going to stop. Sorry. It's never going to stop. And I hope it never does, because it'll get boring and it'll get stale and it'll get stiff. So just keep being silly and keep playing. Yeah. There's a question about loosening up as well. Any tips for loosening your art up and making it more whimsical? My art feels so stiff. Trying a new medium. Doing little assignments for yourself. One thing that I learnt in life drawing was the 30-second blind contour drawing, which I love. And sometimes if I'm feeling really stiff, I will do a 30-second blind contour drawing, which basically means you look at a thing, a model, a still life, the dog, whatever you have in front of you. You only look at that, and with your pen, you draw the thing using one line only and not taking your eyes off the object that you're drawing. And give yourself 30 seconds. It is so funny. The drawings come out really silly and bad and hilarious. And it is important to not take yourself too seriously. It's important to laugh at yourself. It's important to get silly and not be afraid to make a stupid drawing. Maybe you have an ugly sketchbook or like just plain printer paper that you can do those little tasks on, which you can then throw into the recycle bin after if you want to, if you can't bear to look at them. But again, like, it just takes practice. I know that word, that people hate that word and hate being told that, but seriously, that's what it is. Go on, actually get BB out. Go on, go outside, sit in the sun, it's lovely. Go on. Sketchbooks are great for playing, loosening up, practicing, experimenting. Just do those things. Just do them. Because it makes you better. Yeah. Do you aim to work in a particular style or to focus on particular themes, or does it come more naturally? My style, I would say, it's like handwriting. It's just the way I write. It's just like what I've developed in that sort of way. So the style is just me. So it's not like I'm trying to do Disney style and be like, that is the style that I want to do, because that doesn't come naturally to me. I draw what comes naturally to me in the way that comes naturally to me. So focusing on particular themes, yes, definitely. You've probably noticed that a lot of the things that I draw focus on big, soft, curvy bodies, which is like a lifetime theme that I like to talk about or like to draw and paint about, because it's my true lived experience of being someone who is on the curvy side, on the soft body side. Yeah, I feel like when I was 14, 13, 12, any of the teenage years, I wish I got to see more artwork that looked like me. I wanted to see more bodies that looked like me. Not even artwork, photos, movie characters, any of that kind of stuff, mainstream media stuff. There wasn't really any big curvy bodies that were portrayed in a loving, beautiful light. They were all either the comedy characters or the bad guys, you know? So I think that had a big impact on me as a young person, and so that's the main thing I do. It's basically me drawing myself to force myself to love the body that I'm in. I want other young people, older people, any peoples who have big bums, big hips, big chests, big shoulders, whatever, hairy legs, I don't care. I want them to feel seen the way that I wish that I got to be seen when I was younger, you know? Yeah. And I think that does come naturally as well, because it's not something that I dwell on too much. It's just like, I'm going to draw this fat person in a field of dandelions because that's how I feel right now. You know? Yeah, it's just all made up on the spot, really. Oh yeah, back to the reference. Yeah, so I sort of went off track a little bit before. In regards to the using references, I think a lot of it is in my library, my storage from life drawing days. I also have like a bajillion sketchbooks, and sometimes I will go back and look at my old sketchbooks and pick out old ideas. Sometimes those ideas like never became anything in my sketchbooks, and now is the time for them to become a thing in a sketchbook. And I think it's totally okay to go back and rehash some of your old ideas. That's what they're there for. So a lot of the time I reference my own drawings. Sometimes I might see a picture of a model or from a photo shoot or something, and I'm like, oh, I like the way they're posed. But it's usually me in my head thinking of ways that I would like to curl up into a ball and how I would draw that, using my mind's eye. Yeah. But also in saying that, I look at a lot of stuff. I look at a lot of stuff, a lot of art. I follow a lot of artists. I look at a lot of books. I look at a lot of movies. I go for a lot of walks. I listen to a lot of music. Everything around me is inspiration, and everything gets absorbed. Whether I realize it or not, whether you realize it or not, everything around you is an inspiration in some way. So since moving out here to the forest, a lot of my work has been really hilly and trees and getting lost in like forest and plants and stuff like that. So, and I didn't necessarily go into making those things being like, I'm going to make an artwork about someone getting lost in a forest. It just because it's part of my everyday surrounding, it just becomes part of what I subconsciously like to draw and paint and that sort of thing. If you could master a different art form you haven't even tried yet, what would it be? I would really love to try glass blowing. I love glass blowing. I remember when I was 17 or something like that, and the school would take us on trips to go and look at universities and stuff like that. I remember going to Monash and looking at the glass blowing section, and I was absolutely blown away by it, and I haven't stopped thinking about it ever since, and that was 15 years ago. Maybe more. What got you into ceramics? I used to do ceramics in like primary school and high school as an elective, and I did a few like little ceramic-y classes and stuff after high school, but it was never like, I just didn't have the space or the facilities to be able to do clay work. But when I had a birthday a few years ago, I was like, I'm going to treat myself to like a short course in how to do hand building ceramics, because I just have busy hands and I want to try something new. So that's what I did. It was like a 5 or 6 week short course once a week, making some stuff, and I made some artist palettes and some vases, and that was it, done. I was like in love. So bought all the clay and all the tools and underglazes and whatnot, and so much fun. But yeah, over time my style has changed a bit, but I feel like you can still see links to who I am now or who I've always been in some of my older work. I definitely, when I was 18, 19, 20, blah, 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 I was really into silent film, like majorly into silent film. So a lot of my work was kind of looked like that, 1920s, a lot of like gentlemen with like amazing noses and moustaches, like a lot of that kind of stuff. But they all had this very whimsical element to them with flowers and like ukuleles and like bugs. And they always had that kind of cute sort of whimsy to them. But then I've just I guess learned more about myself and had more life experiences, and making art that is more about my experience is more important than trying to be cool and show everyone that I like this niche form of filmmaking, and not exploring something deeper than that. So that's how it's changed, I guess. Yeah, inspiration. I mentioned it before. Inspiration, yeah, definitely everything. As a short answer, everything. You don't notice it, but everything. Everything is an inspiration in some way or another. It just like gets absorbed into you, and then you're like, poof, inspiration. There we go. I can be quite a quiet person. I don't really like bothering people and talking about stuff. So a lot of my drawings are me trying to make sense of being in the world, the way I am. I really like being alone. I really like being quiet. I really like having my own space, my own gentle place. And I think a lot of my drawings are just me having the deep desire to be that, to be alone and to just be happy and just living my goodest times in that quiet place. I'm a loner and I love it. I love it. I love being alone. I'm not lonely. It's a big gift to me when I get lots of alone time. Yeah, and poses for concepts, I don't know. It's just whatever I feel like. I feel like sometimes I don't really overthink those things. A lot of the time, it's a stream of conscious style drawing. I'll just be like scribbling in my sketchbook, being like, I want to somehow get from A to Z, and I have to draw all these other little things to get to Z. But then I might combine like Z with S and W and B and that sort of thing to make what I want to make. Check out my sketchbook tour for a little bit of that. Like you can sort of see, I'll dedicate a page to doing an idea, starting an idea, and then like trying to figure it out, boom, 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 and then yeah. I'm good at talking. Color theory. A lot of people ask me about color. I freaking love color. Color is one of my favorite things ever. I love colors so much. I kind of like pride myself on picking good colors, I guess. Sometimes it's on purpose, sometimes it's not on purpose. I mean, like as in intuition. Sometimes it's intuition. Sometimes I have to really, really think about it. But yeah, a lot of questions on color. I never learnt color theory. Like I never learnt the technicals of color theory. I just experimented a lot and played a lot with color. And I think that is how I got kind of good at color eventually, is because I just played with it a lot. I would look at a lot of artworks and be like, oh, that's a really nice color palette, and then I would draw my own drawing using that color palette as the challenge. There's no rules really. Like you can break the color theory rules. I like to just try and get a color palette that's like got ugly colors in it and try to make it beautiful or make it interesting in some way. Like it's a really fun challenge. I really like doing that sort of thing. Is there a colour you used to love and no longer use in your art? Ooh, I don't know about that. I know that there's definitely colours that I don't use as much. I don't really use much red, like that hot fire red. And I don't use much blue, really. They're just not the colours I go for. And I haven't really thought about why. Ooh, favourite colours, favourite colour combos. It really depends on my mood. I don't have anything that's like my favourite go-to colours. I do love yellows, like those golden orangey yellows. I love greens. I use a lot of greens, actually. I always go for greens. Not necessarily the yellows and greens together. I love a good, like, pink and purple. I don't know, like, it really depends on everything. I'm just going to say brown because brown is all the colors. Brown is my favorite color and my favorite color combination. Was that a cop-out answer? Yes. All the colors. There's no wrong answer. I like everything. What colors would be in your perfect palette? I really love like a really nice greeny, yellowy olive color. I'm also going to say maybe like a nice violet, a pink, a lovely sunshiny yellow, and maybe like a soft blue and a sage color. Yeah, maybe like a really dark navy blue. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. Good questions, good color questions. Let's go to Korea. So this is the Korea section of the questions. First question, I'm just going to answer straight away. Hi, Sophie. Are you ever going to illustrate and write books? I would love to. But I want to do it myself. I want to like self-publish, I think. I don't want to have to answer to anyone. But maybe that's a mistake because maybe people know what works. And maybe I don't know what works. It's still a fresh little baby, but I am in the works working on a little book with my very dear friend Lucy. She and I are kind of writing it together and I'm going to illustrate it. And I'm very excited, but it's still very baby stage. So keep your eyes peeled, but maybe not too peeled, just in case. Am I a self-taught artist? I think yes. Although I did study. After high school, I did like a TAFE course. That's what they have here in Australia. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I was like, can I be an artist? I don't know if being an artist is proper. So I was like, I'll just do this TAFE course, and it's one of those courses where it lets you try lots of different things, and then in your second year you can major and minor in certain things. So I tried a bit of every of the art things, but they didn't really teach us skills. Like they didn't teach us technical skills. I don't remember, at least. I don't think so. I think I learnt myself. I'm gonna definitely say I taught myself how to paint. And I mean, people can tell you how to do things, but you don't know really how to do those things until you try those things. I think I'm gonna say I'm self-taught. When it comes to animation, I studied animation and I learned how to do animation at uni. So I'm not self-taught in animation because I learnt it. But illustration and stuff, yeah, I think I'm self-taught. And there's nothing wrong with being taught professionally how to do things like at a university or whatever. I think it's great. It like fast tracks you to being good at something instead of like, I'm not going to say wasting, instead of like taking longer than it could be taking to get from one point to another when it comes to building skill. So uni is really good for that because it fast tracks you. You get better like this rather than like this. But there's no wrong way either way. It's just depends how fast you want to get there, I suppose. Good question. Where do you start with art book or course, like Domestika recommendations? I don't know. I think you should start first by being excited and loving art and trusting yourself, trusting your ideas and experimenting and playing. As for courses, I don't know what Domestika courses and stuff are out there or art books, to be honest. I'm sure there's bajillions of things on YouTube as well and Domestika. Yeah, it's just worth figuring out what stream you want to learn and trying lots of different things. I don't have anything specific that I can recommend. I'm sorry. I just look at a lot of stuff. Just absorb it all. You are a plant absorbing the sun, absorbing the air, absorbing the rain. Absorb it all. In what ways do you feel you have grown artistically this year? I reckon I've played a lot more with different techniques. I've been experimenting a lot this year. I think having Patreon, having to make a new, at least one, two artworks every month has really made me try new things because I don't want to get bored. I am chronically trying to do new things all the time because I just get so bored of doing the same thing over and over again all the time. So yeah, doing Patreon and having to make an artwork, at least one artwork every month, has definitely made me try new things. Not necessarily style-wise, I mean technique-wise, technically. Yeah, I think I've leveled up a little bit with that. Do you think for someone to be considered an artist, a person has to master realism? That's a good question. And no, definitely not. Being a realistic artist, being a realistic painter or drawing or whatever, is not peak artist for me. Sometimes the more simple the artwork, the more difficult it is to do. Does that make sense? But no, you definitely do not need to master realism to be an artist. Anyone's an artist. Children are artists. Just be authentically you. If your thing is drawing tiny circles on a giant white canvas, you're still an artist. How long have you been making a living solely from your art? Quite a while, actually. If you include my animation days working in animation, I was a designer. Background artist for animation for a few years. And then I did some freelance stuff for a few years and mixed in with my own thing. Yeah, so I used to work in pet supplies. That was my main thing for a lot of my early part of my 20s. During the uni days, I started phasing out of working in retail and started phasing into doing freelance, concept art, greyhound portraits, all those kind of little things that people would ask me to do, logo designs. Yeah, so I think I finished study in 2015. So since then, I mean, it's evolved a lot. Since then, I was doing markets every weekend for 2 or 3 years solid, which was part of my income, which I don't really do anymore now. I might do 1 or 2 big markets nowadays. Having Patreon has made me be able to survive as an artist much better than I did before. So yeah, it's evolved a lot. And it's always going to be evolving, I'm sure. Things change. Social media is changing all the time. And there's a lot of... I rely on that a lot for getting sales. And yeah. But how lucky am I, seriously, that I get to paint a silly little picture and put it on the internet and people like it and then maybe will buy it or prints of it. 12-year-old me would be ecstatic, and she is. Ooh, what's the next step in your art career, or are you comfortable as is? I'm pretty comfy, I reckon. Next step is probably to get help. I want someone to do the boring jobs that I don't want to do. The admin stuff, the replying to emails, the little tax things. I don't know, even helping with packaging orders and that sort of thing. Do you have any recommendations for an artist just starting to reproduce their art as prints? I'm just a bit nervous. I'm just a bit nervous ordering prints for the first time and hoping they come out okay. Would you recommend investing in a printer? I went years getting my stuff printed through a fine art printer, and it was fine. It was good. Sometimes it was a little harder to control the colors. In general, it's really good. You can ask for test prints for proofs. Yes, it might be a little bit of an upfront cost there, but you just factor that into all your costs later. It's worth it because then you know what colors you're getting and that sort of thing. Yeah, don't be afraid to ask those questions to the fine art printers that you go to. I have my own printer. I have what's it called? Epson Surecolor P600, which I don't think they make anymore, but that's been a really good little guy for me, and I get nice cotton rag photographic paper that's thick and light fast. It's museum quality, it's archival quality stuff. and it's pricey. But the one thing I love about doing it myself, I don't have a very big studio. My studio is small. And the one thing I like about having my own printer is that I don't have to order 25 prints and have them packaged up. Like, I don't have the space for that. Print every week when I do my orders, I print as I go, or I print the day before, because sometimes you need to let them sit and dry. So I like the convenience of just being able to do it myself. I also like being able to have as many print designs as I want available on my website, and yeah, it just doesn't take up space, because they don't exist in space yet. They exist as files. Here's a good question. Do you feel like you need the sense of artistic community, or can you be okay alone? I really love having my artistic community around me. I have a lot of friends who are artists, and a lot of friends who are in the industry who are working artists. They might be art therapists, they might be illustrators, they might be fine art painters, fashion designers, like different, I've got a lot of different people that I can connect with and be around. And yeah, being on Instagram, then there's a whole nother level of being able to be around people who are in the arts community. I love gushing about things art related with people. I love, I just love talking about colors and art and the feelings and all that kind of stuff. So I think for me that has been important. Being around them physically isn't as important to me as it used to be. Sometimes, like, two of my very closest friends I see quite often, and they're both artists, and we talk about art a lot. We don't necessarily talk about the business side of it. It's just in general, it's really nice. If you're going to be in the arts world, it's inevitable that you will meet other artists and need to connect with other people in the art world. It helps to kind of put yourself out there a little bit and be seen. If you want that to be your sole income stream, you kind of need a bit of community around you. So you can be involved in things. Like, you need exhibitions and whatever, I don't know, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. At what age did you decide you want to do drawings for a living? I've always loved drawing. I've always loved making stuff. I think I was just born with the desire to want to make stuff. My mum has this story that when I was born, when I was a fresh baby, apparently the doctor said, oh, she's got long fingers. She's either going to be a piano player or an artist. And my fingers are quite stumpy now, but maybe they were long when I was a baby. So that's funny. That's kind of like a premonition for my life. Will you be doing any more interstate fairs? Maybe. Maybe. I did one. I've only done one interstate fair, which is in Adelaide, which I have a video if you want to watch it. And that was so much fun. It was a big effort. I think I'm just moving out of the market phase of my life in a big way, and markets are now a small way for me, not a big way in my life. So maybe. Big question mark for you. Do you plan to teach do you plan to teach art online sometime in the future? I actually have a couple of little classes online. They should be in my highlights section on Instagram, but I did some collaborations with Sketchy, SKTCHY, Sketchy. I did a couple of like portrait classes there, which was fun. But I think I do a lot of little videos, like how-to videos here and there on Patreon. So I think Patreon's going to be my main thing, and it's not going to be like classes or teaching per se, but it's definitely an element of like, here, come and learn this thing with me in some videos, depending on what I make. Sometimes it's just sit down and let's draw together, and I feel like those videos, you can learn a lot from them, even though it's not me technically talking about every little decision I'm making in my head and how to make things and how to do this and that. I think just by watching, you can learn a lot from those sort of videos. So another Patreon plug. What personal goals do you have for your own artistic growth? I don't know. I want to make big stuff. I want to make some big stuff. That's like what I want to try to do. I want to have a solo show, a solo exhibition maybe. That'll be cool. That'll be very scary. Yeah, I want to do bigger pieces in the same sort of loose, scribbly style that I have achieved with the smaller sized pieces. So maybe that's something that I want to explore a bit more in the future, in the near future. Yeah, I think that's what I want to try. That's where I want to grow in the short term. Long term, I just want to be a hobbit that lives on a hill and just paints and doesn't have to promote myself online 24/7, you know? I want someone to just give me $1 billion and I just live very simply on a hill and eat vegetables and paint pictures and have dogs. I've got a couple of miscellaneous questions in the miscellaneous section. Miscellaneous. Oh, art block. Do you ever get art block? What are ways you get over it? Yes, I get it. Who doesn't? I get it less than I used to, and I think that's because I draw and make stuff more often, like every day. And it's like a muscle. The more you do it, the more you have to keep doing it. And I'm getting better at boundary setting for myself. I'm better at not working till 10 p.m. at night. I try my best to stop working at 5:30 or 6 and put it down and go do other life stuff. I have these phases where I go up and I work at like 150% for a couple of days, and then I go boom, and then I work at minus 10% for a few days and I really crash. So I'm working on trying to make this turn into this. It's hard to get out of it. Sometimes I just need to rest. Sometimes I just need to take a break, have a nap, have a walk, watch telly, play games, have deep and meaningful conversations with people. Those are some nice ways to get out of art block that have worked for me. A lot of it is just like my body being like, I need rest. And so that's what I try to give it. You should post more selfies, do you reckon? Maybe. Alright, I can post more selfies on Instagram, I guess. I think we'll end it there with the Q&A. Yeah. Thanks for this video. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you like the final piece. I really had so much fun making this one, and I was blown away by the reception it got on Instagram when I posted it, and TikTok. And yeah, if you want a mini postcard of this, it's a double-sided postcard, so you get the artwork on the front, and on the back is like a collage of sketchbooks stuff related to the design, and you also get a vinyl sticker. That's the Orange Bird tier. You've got until the 30th of this month, midnight, to sign up for that one. If you want an A4 print of it or an A5 print, wait until the following month, which is October. And I will update that on my secret shop, which you can get as a patron from the $1 tier and up. Yeah, that's enough talking about Patreon. I feel like I've spoken about that a lot, but I spend a lot of time there and I love it. So, okay. All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your day or your sleep or whatever you're up to. See you next time. Bye.